Good morning, everyone. I'm Kashif Saleem, founder of SubscriptionFlow, a YC-backed company. We are building an AI-native recurring billing automation platform. Today, I want to share practical lessons on how to identify winning AI ideas, how to turn them into usable products, and how to pitch them effectively during hackathons and beyond. I've been building SubscriptionFlow for last 6 years, working closely with startups, business schools, incubators, and founders through mentoring, judging, and innovation programs across different industries. And through all these experiences, one thing I have consistently observed is this: great ideas are everywhere, but impactful execution is rare. Most teams don't fail because they lack intelligence or creativity. They fail because the problem isn't clearly defined. The solution becomes too complicated, or the value isn't communicated effectively. And that brings us to one of the biggest patterns I have noticed while mentoring founders, startups, and hackathon teams. Why most hackathon projects fail. When we first started building Subscription Flow, we made a mistake that many founders and hackathons teams make. We focused too much on features. We thought adding more functionality would automatically create more value. But customers didn't care about complexity. They care about solving their billing problems quickly, clearly, and reliably. And that completely changed how we approach product building. Over time, I realized this same patterns appears repeatedly in hackathons as well. Most projects looks impressive or sound interesting, but they are not solving a meaningful real-world problem. Many teams also lose clarity of focus. They try to showcase too many ideas, too many features, or too much technology at once. And as a result, the solution becomes overly complicated for what is actually a simple problem. And when judges see the presentation, they often struggle to understand what exactly is the problem, what is the solution, and why does it matter. Finally, many teams fail to clearly communicate the actual impact of their solution for the target users. That's why even technically strong projects often fail to stand out. Now, after seeing why most hackathon projects fail, let's talk about what actually makes projects stand out. Over time, I realized that winning projects usually follow a very simple pattern. Not necessarily the most advanced technology, not the biggest models, not the most complicated architectures. They simply execute well on four things. First, they solve a real problem. The stronger projects with the genuine pain points that people actually experience. If the problem is meaningful, the solution automatically becomes more valuable. Second, they keep the AI solution simple and focused. A common mistake teams make is trying to solve five problems at once. Winning teams usually solve one problem really well using Focus AI. Third, they show clear impact. You need to demonstrate what improves, who benefits, and what measurable outcome changes because of your solution. Judges want to see value, not just features. And finally, strong communication. Even great ideas fail if they are explained poorly. The ability to clearly communicate your idea with confidence is often what separates finalists from everyone else. And there's one line I want you to remember from this slide. It is this: winning projects simplify complexity, not add complexity. The best AI products don't feel complicated, they make difficult things feel easy for the users. The first and foremost step in building a winning AI project is choosing the right problem. Because honestly, even the best technology cannot save a weak problem. One thing I have noticed while mentoring founders and hackathons team is that many people start with, what cool thing can we build with AI? But the better question is, what real problem actually needs solving? That's why I always recommend starting with everyday frustration. The best opportunities are usually hidden inside repetitive pain points, things people deal with regularly. Those problems are easier to validate, easier to explain, and easier to build solutions around. The second point is extremely important. Talk to real users. Even short conversation can completely change your Understanding of a problem, you quickly realize the difference between assumptions and actual user pain. Another common mistake is building for imaginary problems. You're building in isolation. Sometimes teams create solutions for situations that really happen in real life. The project sounds innovative, but no one generally needs it. And finally, focus on pain, not ideas. A lot of teams becomes emotionally attached to the idea itself. But successful founders focus on what hurts for the users. Because when the pain is real, users naturally care about the solution. And this is something I strongly believe from both startup building and mentoring experience. Founders who deeply understand pain points almost always outperforms founder who simply chase trends. Now, once you identify a problem, the next question becomes, is this actually a problem worth solving? Because not every problems create meaningful impact. Over time, I have noticed that strong startup ideas and strong hackathons projects usually share a few common characteristics. First, the problems happens frequently. If something happens regularly, people actively want a better solution. Frequently pain creates demand naturally. Second, it affects many people. The broader the impact, the more valuable the solution becomes. Even if the problem feels small individually, solving it at scales create huge value. Third, the problem costs either time or money. These are usually the easiest problems to validate because users already feel the pain directly. If people are losing productivity, revenue, or efficiency, they are much more likely to care about your solution. And finally, the problem is currently solved poorly. This is where opportunities exist. Sometimes people are still using spreadsheets, manual processes, repetitive workflows, or outdated systems. That's often where AI creates the biggest impact. And one important thing to remember is this: judges evaluate the strength of the problem much more than most teams realize. Because if the problem itself feels weak, the project usually struggles, no matter how impressive the technology looks. Strong projects start with stronger problems. Once you identify a strong problem, the next challenge is something most hackathons teams struggle with: keeping the solution simple. One of the biggest mistakes teams make is trying to solve too many things at once. They add too many features, too many workflows, too many AI capabilities, all inside a single project. But winning projects usually do the opposite. They solve one core problem extremely well. That's why the first recommendation here is focus on one clear use case. If judges can immediately understand what the problem is, what the solution does, and who benefits, and your projects instantly become stronger. The second point is don't build everything. In hackathon, especially time is limited, you do not need a complete platform, advanced infrastructure, or enterprise level functionality. Prioritize only the essential features needed to demonstrate value. Third, focus heavily on usability. A technically impressive project still fails if user cannot easily understand or interact with it. Simple products create stronger demos. And finally, make it demo friendly. Your project should be easy to explain, easy to navigate, and stable during a live presentation. Because in hackathons, perception matters. If your demo is smooth and focused, judges naturally feel more confident in the product. And this is one of the most important lessons I have learned, both in startup and hackathons. Scope wins hackathons. The teams that narrowly focus and execute well almost always outperforms teams trying to build everything at once. Now, let's talk about where AI actually fits. One mistake I see very often in hackathons is teams trying to force AI into the solution just because AI is trending. But strong projects use AI only where it creates real value. AI works especially well in four areas: automation, prediction, personalization, and decision support. For example, automating repetitive tasks, forecasting outcomes, tailoring user experience, or helping user make better decisions using data. But the key thing is, good AI projects solve a specific problem clearly and measurably. Bad AI projects add AI without improving the actual user experience. And judges can spot AI for the sake of AI almost instantly. Even at Subscription Flow, we use AI only where it creates practical operational value, like identifying failed payments recovery opportunities automatically. So the goal should never be how do we add AI? The better question is where does AI genuinely improve outcomes? The next thing strong projects do well is clearly communicate impact. A lot of teams explain features, but they don't clearly explain outcomes. Judges wants to understand what problem is being solved, who benefits from it, why is this better than existing solution, and what measurable change does it create. The strong projects make the impact extremely clear. For example, reducing processing time by 60%, improving response accuracy, or saving operational costs. Even estimated impact helps judges visualize the value of your solution. Because at the end of the day, people remember outcomes more than features. One important thing to remember in hackathons is this: you are not building a perfect product, you are building a strong demo. Focus on the core workflow that clearly shows the problem, the solution, and the outcome. Make the product clickable and easy to understand. Highlight one key features that create strong wow moment for the judges and avoid unnecessary complexity. You do not need dozens of features. Simple, stable, and demo friendly projects usually perform much better because in hackathons, clarity beats complexity. Let's apply this principle in a real situation. The problem is student miss assignment deadlines because information is scattered across different platforms. The AI solution is focused on an AI assistant that scans course portals and sends smart reminders. The impact is measurable. Students submit on time, reduce stress, and improves performance. And finally, notice how simple the pitch is. It focuses on the problem, the solution, and the outcome. That's what strong hackathon projects do well. A strong hackathon pitch usually has three simple parts. First, clearly explain the problem. The judges should immediately understand what issue exists, who is affected, and why it matters. Second, show the solution. Don't over explain the technology. Show how your product solves the problem in a simple and clear way. And third, communicate the impact. Explain what improves for the users: time saved, better outcomes, reduced effort, or measurable results. Strong pitches are usually simple, focused, and outcome driven. Once you clearly understand the problem, the next step is to design the demo experience first. Before writing code, think about what exactly do I want the judges to see? Focus on the critical workflow that best demonstrates your solution and build around that ideal user journey. You do not need to build the full production version. Use sample data, mock users, or hard coded AI outputs if needed. The goal is to clearly demonstrate value, not perfect infrastructure. Also, try to create one memorable wow moment in your demo. One feature that immediately makes judge thinks, this is smart. And finally, prepare your pitch while building. A strong presentation can significantly improve how judges perceive your project because this is your opportunity to clearly showcase the problem, the solution, and the impact you have created. As a final takeaway, remember this: great technology alone does not win hackathons. The projects that stand out are the ones that solve real problems in a simple, meaningful, and understandable way. Focus on building things that users genuinely need and value. Keep the solution focused, clearly communicate the impact, and present it with confidence. Because at the end of the day, successful projects are not just technically impressive, they make life easier, faster, and better for real people. So build things that matter. Thank you very much for your time today. I hope this session helped you think more strategically about building AI projects that create real impact, not just technically impressive demos. If you have any questions, would like to connect, or want to continue the conversation around startups, AI, or hackathons, feel free to reach out. You can scan the QR code to connect with me on LinkedIn and follow the journey of Subscription Flow as well. Looking forward to seeing the amazing things all of you build. Thank you.